Hello. Welcome back to my channel. It is Timmesha Shockley here, where I strive to teach, aspire, and shit. So before we jump into today's video, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, so you are notified every single time that I post a new video, and you hit the like button down below. So I'm so excited about today's video. We are going to be talking about the beloved boundaries. Dun dun dun. All right, so we are going to be talking about boundaries. I'm going to hit you with a few general tips when implementing a boundary, and I'm going to hit you with some practical things that you can do as you set these boundaries into motion at home. But before we jump into those tips, I want to talk about the importance of boundaries. So I know that being in the classroom, a lot of times kids can just think that they can just snap a finger, cry a little tune, and fall out, and they just expect me or my assistants to just jump at their beck and call. And I'm not gonna lie, I have fallen prey to that, where I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm freaking out. Like, what can I do to help them? They're having a moment. What can I do? But I learned real quick that leaves me feeling frustrated, tired, ready to just throw in the towel and all the above. And I'm sure that you guys have been there. And so I really learned the importance of setting boundaries within my classroom, setting boundaries with the kids that I'm working with, whatever the case is. I've just learned that it's so important. I mean, I think about us as adults. We have boundaries on, how fast we can drive, stop signs, and different things like that. And even like your job. If you keep showing up late, what's going to happen? You're going to get fired. The sooner that we begin to instill in our kids the importance of boundaries, following boundaries, we are preparing them for later in life. So boundaries are important because they set that parameter around your kids. They let them know clearly what behavior is acceptable and what behavior is not acceptable. And I think that's just so important for us to teach our kids, so they don't go around thinking that certain behaviors are okay. And I know that this can be a struggle because it's something that I struggled with for a while. So I'm excited to share these tips and help you guys out. So the first tip that I have when creating boundaries at home is that you define what your boundary is. So maybe it's you just taking a look, taking a step back, and seeing what behaviors are you noticing at home, what behaviors or issues are you continuously running into that you kind of want to change, and use what you want to change into defining your boundary. So for example, if you are noticing that your child is yelling at everybody in the house, then you want to define a boundary that's going to get your child speaking kindly, speaking calmly to your family members or to their siblings. So think about how you want to define the boundary. And the next thing you want to do is you want to be sure that you can communicate this boundary in a clear way that your child would understand. So how you're going to communicate to your 15-year-old about a boundary that you're setting is going to be different than how you're going to communicate to your 2-year-old or your 3-year-old. So an example for me in the classroom is when a child hits someone, and another child comes up to me and they say, oh, little Johnny hit me, and da da da, right? So the first thing I do, and this is something that we try to incorporate, it's the peaceful conflict resolution. And I normally have that child go to the other child and, talk about how they didn't like that and how, that's not going to be tolerated. And let's say this continues and Joey is still going around hitting kids. Then that's when I go to Joey and I get down on his level. So it's not me standing over him, pointing my finger at him like that at all. But I'm going to go to him. I'm going to get on eye level with him. And I'm going to say, little Joey, hands are not for hitting. And in our classroom, we will not allow hitting. Okay, and so you make it very clear and you let that boundary be known. And make sure that you're communicating in a way. So like I said, a 15-year-old, you're going to be able to kind of sit down with them, have a conversation, talk it out. But with a 2-year-old, you're just going to have to keep it very short and very simple. So no hitting. no running. And you want to make sure that you reinforce that inside voice. So whatever the boundary that you define, that you're making clear, you want to make sure that it's broken down in a way for your kids to understand. The next general tip that I have for you is making sure that you set your boundary and you stick to it. This is really what makes the difference in your kids listening, your kids following boundaries, your kids following rules, and them kind of understanding that when mom or dad or whoever in the home says something, they mean it and they're gonna stick to it. So you got to remember that the first couple of times they're going to fall out, they're going to keep hitting, they're going to keep yelling, they're going to keep throwing stuff, and they're going to have fall out a little bit, but they'll be okay. And just see beyond that and keep sticking to it. Stand your ground, because the sooner you do that, the sooner they will realize you are serious. And the last tip that I have is to make sure that you are allowing consequences to happen. Now, if it doesn't call for it, I'm not saying you should go take away toys and put them in timeout or put them away from their friends or, family members. But I'm saying allow even for natural consequences to happen. So that way they'll realize, oh, this is why we have this boundary. Oh, this is why we have that rule. All right. So the next things that I want to talk about is some practical things that you can do at home as you are implementing these boundaries. And the first thing that you can do practically at home is use warnings. So, okay, for me, for example, we have birthday walks at our school, and our kids can get very excited, and because of that excitement, they're not going to be working, they're not following rules, and they might just be off the chain that morning. And something that I remind my kids is I say, remember, if you want to participate and get the birthday treat, then you need to be making good choices. And side note, I have another video that's going to be coming about good choices, making good choices, and that's another video that will really help with setting boundaries, because it brings your child aware to making good choices, following directions, all that sort of thing. But anyway, so I tell my kids that if they are not making good choices and me or my assistants have to speak to them more than 3 times that morning, then they won't get the birthday treat. And it's so hard for me, because it stinks that yes, they got to sit and celebrate and sing, but they don't get the birthday treat. But that's something that I implemented to teach my kids. If you want to participate in something that's special, then you need to be making good choices throughout that morning and doing what you need to do. And so give warnings. Warnings will work a lot. And so they know, all right, you're on your first warning. They're like, oh, okay, let me remember. I gotta remember. And so that kind of just helps them stay focused and remember they want to follow the rule. The second thing that you can do in order to help boundaries stay in place in your home is offer your child choices. And this really works especially if you have strong-willed children or children who just want to make choices on their own. They're very independent. Offer them choices. And like I've said before, these choices are going to be things that you generally want them to do, but you're giving them a layout of 2 to 3 choices that they can choose from, which helps and makes them feel like, oh, I'm making a choice for myself. And she didn't tell me what to do. So that will help too. The next thing that I have, and I mentioned it before, is use logical consequences or allow for natural consequences to occur when necessary. So for example, I'm out on the playground with my kids and I say, Susan, you need to make sure that you're sitting on your bottom when you go down the slide so you don't hurt yourself. And I've warned Susan about this about 2 times. And I tell her she's got 1 more time. And on that 3rd time, Susan decides to go down turned around with her back facing and going down. And Susan falls over and she, falls off the slide and gets hurt a little bit. She comes running to me. Oh, I fell off the slide. Da, 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 da. And then, I'm going to check her out, make sure she's okay. And then I'm going to also say, this is the reason why we have that rule of making sure that you go down the slide the right way, because I don't want you to get hurt. And so you just using those natural consequences to help the child realize that this is why you have those boundaries in place. All right, y'all, I really hope that this video helped. And like I said, next week I'm gonna have a video called Make Good Choices. And this is one that kind of goes together, and they will help you kind of reinforce the boundaries that you set in place. And it'll also reinforce your children making good choices for themselves and choosing what kind of choice they're gonna make. So hope this helped. Can't wait to see y'all next week. Leave me a comment down below. How did this video help? What are some boundaries that you need to put in place? And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the like button. All right, y'all, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.